so you create these things, and then you get enter into relationships with all of that in you, and you seek from that other person ideally what you think ought to be. And then that collectively, between both of you having that, functioning based on that, you're also unraveling the things you've been through. You're unraveling all of your experiences. You're sharing with one another. You're giving each other your hopes of what you want romantically. And within that relationship, you're processing, go through everything that you've gone through, everything that you have been, that has happened in previous relationships, and so to speak. And so, from that experience and the current experience you're having within that relationship, I think that that parlays into the product of you. And sometimes that means you end up marrying that person, right, that you've gone through such a process with. And other times, it means that instead of marrying that person, you come to the end of what you can collectively do together, and then you end up in a different relationship. And sometimes it is a quicker, faster process, or I should say, the relationship picks up faster because you've been processed in this other relationship, and you end up going into a formal commitment a lot faster because you've worked through the kinks and the fears and the whatever's ideals in that other relationship. Is that the way that it should be? We can't really say should, shouldn't. Ideally, seems like it should not be that way, because if you've gone through so much with a person, you could marry that person. But a lot of times, I think we're already married to our ideals. We're already married to our plan. We're already married to our goals. We're already married to the way that we prefer things to be. And so you've got all these other marriages within you, your mind and your person. And so you're with another person trying to get them to marry into what you're married to. And that is, that becomes a tug of war, because oftentimes the other person has the very same variables. And so taking that into your collective relationship, working through things, having realizations, being each other's mirror, and then going forward, that can parlay into solidifying that relationship between the two of you, breaking it apart, or just going through ups and downs, hills, mountains, and valleys. You could end up maybe breaking up for a short period of time, creating different terms and boundaries, so to speak. But, I have noticed a lot that a lot of things are a part of your process that you'd rather not do, that you'd rather not go through. And so, though you have your reason for doing what you're doing, and you have your reasons for being together in this relationship, it's all absolutely necessary for you to reach a realization. Some people will marry young, some people will marry in midlife, and they will just make a decision to be committed to that person, and whatever growth happens or doesn't happen, it's just going to happen in that relationship. But then you have other people that they're avidly looking for something, and if it's not produced right there, in a current relationship at a certain period of time that expires, their hopes expire, or their duration and willingness to stay put, in that situation, they break off that relationship, or it breaks off on its own. Basically, your expectations and the other person's realization of that can cause the other person to break up with you. And then going forward, you're going into another relationship. You haven't changed your hopes or your expectations, because you don't see them as reflective of a problem or an error. You see it as, well, this is who I am, and I have my rights to this, and this is what I want going forward. So be it. But then there seems to be a greater lesson in that, which is, where does those hopes come from? What are your expectations from that? What do you expect what it is that you want to do for you going forward? And if it were to do that for you, what purpose would that fulfill in life? And how well does that contribute to who you are as a person, and the will that God has for your life? And so I think oftentimes He will disrupt our plan or our agenda or our process, our progress is related to us, or what we're choosing to do, in order to get us on another track, or in another situation, or a break from situations that allow us to be processed and to have some growth, so that we could actually, whatever we choose or end up in, is actually going to process us toward the purpose that He has for our lives. So even if you believe or don't believe, spiritually speaking, in God, or different things, aspects of spirituality, have you not noticed that You make plans and you go forth in that plans, but then it only goes so far. And there's a disruption in steps. And yes, there's a side of spirituality, the enemy territory, the negative energy that wants to disrupt things, but you have to consider ultimately whoever has the highest power controls the entire plant. So if it's permitted to be disrupted, there's a purpose in that as well. So I just wanted to really address the relationship aspect of why some people are in committed relationships and those relationships don't always enter or result in marriage, and why sometimes a long-term relationship can result in a person transferring from that relationship into another and quickly ending up in a commitment that they did not make formally to the person that they may have spent many years with. So there's a whole lot more to how we function and the purpose of what we go through than just what we set for ourselves or what we think it's about for ourselves. And I just think that godly wisdom is one of those things that is starting to reveal these different things to us so that we can, live by resolve, and the resolve that produces results that keep us satisfied, that make us feel satisfied internally. Because, you can't guarantee satisfaction with anything that you choose, but if God's in it, well, he's going to be in it. But if God ultimately takes the reins, okay, then your soul and your spirit collectively can rest, because it's what you are supposed to be doing according to the person who created you. And so there's not that tug of war internally. And that's a lot of times, I believe, what happens to us as people. There's something in us, in the core of what we're meant to do, what we're meant to be. And then there's our plan that is sometimes outside of that. And those things are warring with one another. So, food for thought. I pray that that is helpful to somebody and provides some sort of clarity. It definitely has for me, at least mentally. And how that's going to play out in physical everyday life, remains to be seen. But God bless you all, and I hope you have a great day.